The Los Angeles mission is pretty unique in the sense that geographically it's one of the smallest, but population-wise it's one of the largest, just because it's just so dense. People are living on top of people in Los Angeles. And so it's pretty small. Like, it follows the coast of Malibu, and it's like the northern part is a city called Downey. I'm not really sure if you've heard of that, but then it kind of goes down to like Palos Verdes. But honestly, it is just a tiny, tiny mission. Without traffic, you could probably get from one end to another in about 45 minutes or an hour. With traffic, it could take like up to 4 hours. So it's a little bit unique in that sense as well. But because it's just such a melting pot of people, I mean, within it, I mean, we have the UCLA campus, and so there's just so many international students. That's right next to the visitor center. And then, I mean, you have Koreatown, you have downtown LA there. So honestly, any and every ethnicity is in Los Angeles, which is so fun. And so because of that, they call so many language-speaking missionaries. So we had Spanish in our mission, we had Mandarin, we had Korean, we had French, we had Cambodian, we had Samoan, Tongan. It was just, there were so many. And then what was so cool was toward the end of my mission, there was such a population of Middle Eastern people that they opened a Farsi program as well. So they called people to do Farsi, along with American Sign Language. They had so many of those as well. And so it was just so fun because there were just so many, even within the missionaries themselves, so much diversity, because you just had these native Cambodians come or native Japanese people come. It was so great. And so logistically, that's kind of how it worked with that. And then with the visitor center, there were about anywhere from like 25 to 30 sisters in the visitor center. And I would say that half of them were international and half of us were American. But of the American ones, there weren't that many that were called to just be English speakers. So most of us spoke an additional language, which was so fun and super helpful because you just needed it. You never knew who was going to walk in the door. And yeah, I mean, sometimes you'd have people from Brazil come in and you wouldn't have anybody speak Portuguese, and you're like, okay, we got to round our, who can speak Spanish, you know, or like, who's the closest? Anyway, so it's just so fun because you just got to learn to cater people in that way. But logistically as well, the visitor center, it runs a little bit differently than Temple Square, in the sense that you spend half your day in the visitor center and then the other half of the day you're out and about doing more typical missionary things. So we would just serve in the visitor center, and then you just serve in areas just surrounding. So I served in areas like Malibu, Beverly Hills, Bel Air, Westwood, like super ritzy places, because that's where the visitor center is. But so my experience with food in the LA mission, it will be different for every missionary you talk to, because everybody's experience was so unique because they spent their time with a different ethnicity of people. So if you were to speak to a Korean speaking missionary in LA, their experience would be totally different than mine. So for me, I served for the first half of my mission in like really well-off places. So I had a lot of like salads, like a lot of hipster food, you know, like a lot of organic things, which was really funny. And then for the last part of my mission, I stopped serving the visitor center and they sent me to like Compton and Watts, which is totally different than Malibu and Bel Air. And I served around a lot of Hispanic people and a lot of Polynesian people, Samoan people. And so but they were pretty Americanized, and so they mostly would feed us just like really funny, really extreme Hispanic food to tease us, you know, or to like test us to see how spicy we could. So so my experience with food was pretty even kill, and I didn't really eat anything crazy, but ask another LA missionary and I'm sure they have stories for days about that.